Hey, Alex.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Alex. Nice that you could join us for a second today. I know it's holidays over there.
I'm not seeing what I'm expecting on the UI. Like it looks like it's already live.
Right. We are already live on YouTube.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. We are already streaming on the YouTube.
Yeah.
So right. No additional movement is required.
Okay. You would need to make me the host in
yeah,
order
I will
to share
do
the
it
screen.
Right now.
Okay.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Second.
I
yeah, I see. Good. So now I can share the screen.
Yep. Have a nice thing.
Thanks, Alex, and talk to you on Monday.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay. So let's wait a little bit. We have everybody. I will share the screen. So we have, in the discussions, we have the agenda, but we need to wait for Ilya to join, and maybe Eugen is not joining this early. In any case, you can all get the link in front of you, and I'll put it in the YouTube chat as well in case we have people watching. Let me round up the rest of the people and then we can start. I'll stop the share for now. Hi, Bo. Nice to have you with us as well.
Hi, Otto.
Will you be joining us still every week, or just hopping in today?
Probably not every week. It's if I have done something that week, I will join. Okay. Otherwise, like if I didn't do anything that week, I will skip.
Okay. While we have you, would you have some time next Monday to join our OKR review?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Did you get the calendar entry Alex sent for that?
I think so.
Okay. I think there's two meetings on Monday about OKRs. The one might be too early for you, but if you join the Team Sync, that should be a reasonable time, 9 o'clock your time. Okay. Hi, Ilya. So I think we have everybody, and we can get it going. So yes, we are already live on YouTube. And hello, everybody. This is the EVM Working Group's weekly public sync. And this is the first one now in 3 weeks after the holidays. Let me share my screen here. And you can find our discussions in the NIRCO repository. We keep the meeting agenda and the meeting notes there, and we have the YouTube link there as well, in case somebody wants to share it to others. So the agenda for today, I suggest, is the following. Let's discuss the current goal, especially good after the long holidays, and do the weekly updates fairly quickly. I don't think anybody has anything significant to report. And then let's talk about what we're going to do in the next few weeks, including, importantly, there's been some good work from Ilya on raw Ethereum transaction relay support. We have a big discussion about the native EVM token that we need to move along. I'd prefer to have Alex Shevchenko with us on that discussion, but we can discuss a little bit today. And I know Mike is working on a blog post he would like to get out. So does anybody have anything to add to the agenda today?
I guess I would be curious to hear what's the status of the meta transaction relay as well.
Okay, let's add that here. Okay, good. So let's get going. The current goal of our development is towards the phase 2, which is the testnet delivery. And we, hold on, I'm missing something here from my notes. Yeah, and the agenda for the next couple of weeks is to align all the stakeholders internally and with input from external stakeholders, potential stakeholders, on how our architecture should look for the EVM. We still have some questions in that regard. The perhaps most significant one being the question about the native EVM token. Which token should we be using? Should we be using the NIR token inside our Ethereum runtime, or should it be perhaps some form of ETH bridged or wrapped over from ETH1? So that's a big discussion, but let's touch on it a little bit today. There are other questions that Ilya and Alex and I have been discussing over the holidays. Some of those concern the long-term outlook. How would we unify contract storage so that we don't have a separate mechanism inside the EVM and the native runtime? Ilya, what was your preferred term for the native runtime? Was it base runtime?
Yeah, base runtime.
Okay, I'll call it that then. Yeah, so right now we store contract storage is entirely separated between the two, and the EVM is like a black box, and we should maybe open up this box a little bit going forward. There's also questions about the account model and ultimately what level of visibility Ethereum use should be afforded in terms of our wallet interfaces and the like. So we can come back to those things later. So for the weekly update, Alex is out of the office given the holidays, Orthodox holidays, but I'll give you his update. So as I mentioned with Ilya and me, he's been working on sketching out a lot of the user scenarios, use cases for the EVM. He's working on diagramming everything in terms of the system architecture and the user stories, and he'll have something to present next week. And he started this discussion on the forum this week on the native token. He's also set up for next week. He set up bridge EVM team cross-sync call because we have a lot of questions that concern both teams. I think that's sometime later Monday. On my end, I've been doing the aforementioned with Alex and Ilya, and I've been onboarding myself, as in after discussions with Eugen and Max, I've agreed to take on as EVM team lead, and that means that Eugen can focus more on the runtime matters. He was being stretched in too many directions. And so I've been going through a lot of onboarding this week with Max and others. And other than that, mostly the week has been reviewing pull requests, a whole bunch of them. Bo?
Yeah, I mostly just addressing comments from Eugene and adding comments in the meta transaction parsing.
Yeah, I saw the updates to the pull requests, and we merged that pull request, I believe. So all of your work in that regard is now in master.
Yeah. Cool. Eugene?
We don't have him today. I think it's a little early in San Francisco.
No, I finally joined.
Okay. Hello. Go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah, I basically just reviewed a bunch of PRs, but that's it. Didn't spend as much time.
Yeah, and I noticed you posted also on the forum in the native token discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's good we have you since we're gonna discuss that a little bit. I know Frank had personal matters this week, so nothing to report, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so resume next week on that. Ilya, would you like to a little bit speak about the work you did on the raw transaction support?
Yeah, so I mean, high level, pretty much been testing out a little bit how to deploy some contracts. And so some of the contract deployment uses HD wallet on the truffle side, for example, for a predictable key, like pretty much for signing transactions with a specific key. So instead of generating a new one. And so that kind of span out into like that we need, to handle a already signed transactions. And so we have this RPC proxy that is pretty much just runs Web3 provider and like takes all the JSON requests and just calls RPC provider with them. And so we did not have RPC provider handling that. So I added handling for that there, which required actually adding in near core ability to process a kind of completely signed Ethereum transaction. It works pretty much the same way as meta call. So it's a signed transaction, Ethereum transaction. From signature, you can infer the signer, the address who signed it, and then we have the like who it's targeted to, what the data was, and how much value was assigned.
And the chain ID as well, right?
Yeah, and so chain ID comes from a signature as well.
Yeah.
And so like actually, one caveat is that Ethereum does not require chain ID to be there, right? So chain ID is there only in some transactions. So it's either like, and yeah, so this is, so PR is there. I'm still testing some things, but so far it works. I have deployed that actual contract into BetaNet that I was where it started from.
Right.
So this is both PRs to the near core and to Web3 provider.
Right, and I've reviewed both. This one I had to rebase yesterday. It was a difficult rebase because we had the EVM phase 2 branch, so that bit us in the ass on that one. But I believe I've correctly rebased it and it does build. So if you have a chance, you can check.
Yeah, and I also saw you had like a couple comments, so I'm gonna address them and we can. Sure. If everything else looks correct, we can submit.
Yeah, I think it's good to merge even as is because this comment is about something that was already pre-existing in the code. It's not about your PR. I think a good philosophy.
I actually already fixed this. I just need to write a test that actually tests this.
Okay.
But I mean, I can split it into separate PR. That's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would just go ahead and merge this. My only question was, did you want specifically somebody else's review on this as well? before we put it in master?
Well, I mean, like, if somebody wants to take a look, but
okay, you were not waiting on anybody else, so in that case,
no.
We'll merge it after the meeting.
I can take a look if there's any changes that kind of protocol bump or anything that's missing.
Okay. All right.
But yeah,
Just go ahead.
This though I think requires a hard fork. So actually, the question is like, when are we gonna hard fork BetaNet this new version? Do we have a?
So basically, if you bumped a version of EVM feature, then it will hard fork BetaNet, I guess.
Got it.
If it's still a manual process, then ping send it.
In other words, you generally you both saying we should deploy it to BetaNet as soon as possible, which would be of course helpful for Mike's blog post and the like.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
If we merge anything to master, then BetaNet should be like next day automatically updated once you have the pipeline.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Ilya, from you?
No, that's all.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, so it's mostly been covering as much as basically everything that I understand about how people can use the EVM. I'm putting into, the majority is now in documentation and in separate sections. I think there's like 7 or 8 different sections about, testing, how to use Truffle, how to use Web3 provider, how to do the most basic, simple script, how near CLI can interact with it. And then the blog post highlights these different sections and kind of gives like a teaser and just gives an update on where things are at. Because I think our last blog post was from almost a year ago. And then also have been talking a little bit to, I guess, the infrastructure team. I think that we don't have the same kind of alerts going on. And so there were some timeouts on BetaNet, I think, because, it wasn't as important until recently. So we're getting those in tip-top shape so that when we sort of invite the community to start using the EVM on BetaNet, things will work as expected. I think that is like the final push for me. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around what the RPC proxy means in terms of like priorities and where it's at. And, should we be targeting hard hat, for instance, or should we just kind of be expecting that people can point most things to the RPC proxy? Although I see there's a lot of routes that are not done yet. So I'm kind of learning about that and how to advise folks who will want to start using this.
Yeah, those are good questions, and I guess we can segue into the discussion from that. I think it's great if we have a provider we can use both in the RPC proxy as well as people can pull it into the front-end code. So that's a good job on that. Actually, one thing we didn't have on the agenda but should be here. Ilya had expressed a desire to merge the RPC proxy and the relayer code bases. So this is something we should probably discuss. But okay, so first let me note that I already mentioned that team organization changing a little bit. So it's nice to have Bo here, but Bo is pulled away. Mike, do you know already how you will be pulled away? To which extent?
I think I'll know more after we have OKRs for Berry Picker's team.
When will that be?
Within the next week, I believe.
Okay.
I don't have strong feelings that I am immediately pulled off EVM. I think this is a pretty big priority, especially right now.
Okay. Given that we're defining the EVM OKRs on Monday, if there's any input you would have, that would be already very good. And other than that, the team organization is well understaffed at the moment, which means that there's pretty active recruitment going on, and I would also encourage everybody to think of any friends, colleagues, former colleagues that they know about who we might approach, and send all of that in my direction. I will screen them ASAP, and we will get Max on the case if you would like to proceed. So very, very active recruitment efforts in January, given that we have something we want to ship this quarter. Okay, so I'll talk to you guys one-on-one on other questions about the team organization. Let's go to the discussion. So Ilya, how did you see the merge of the proxy and relayer code bases? Which one should we merge to which repository? We could do it either way.
So proxy is already behaving as a relayer, right? Because it has a signer in it, and it is able to sign transactions. So I think we should just merge in, like add kind of another just URL for the relayer into the proxy.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because it and so there's like so kind of Mike, you were asking like the kind of the scope of proxy right now. So right now proxy does everything and will continue doing everything that Web3 provider does. So like all the routes that are not implemented is the routes that are not implemented in Web3 provider in the first place.
Right.
And okay. the missing pieces in the proxy are mostly around actual like key management, right? Like making sure that like you can start it in kind of read-only mode, or you can start it in like in the like right now pretty much it's kind of a debug mode, right? Where it will sign whatever you give it, which is obviously not always good. So this is where we should have this logic of like relaying logic kind of there, which allows to calculate, if you want to relay this or not, and so be able to configure a proxy with that.
Okay. Meanwhile, while we were talking, I made a bit of a wrong keystroke and lost the notes. I'll have to reconstruct them from the video. In any case, okay, so that's clear. And are you planning to do that yourself, or should I or Mike go ahead and do that?
I can take a look as I'm kind of looking through this. I guess like if you guys can talk me through and kind of update on what's the MetaTX relay status. Just I know you guys have been working on that.
Yeah. So Mike, can you talk on that? I also talked with Julie about potentially making a screencast on that. Did you have a chance to do that yet?
Definitely. No, I still owe you that screencast. So the state of affairs on the meta transactions on that are kind of the same as they've been for a while, which is bare bones in terms of you can pop up MetaMask, do a signed typed message, EIP 712, and then send that to, kind of the old version of the relayer. And that could basically say, here's the message, here's the signature, we can recover this. So that was it. And then at that point, I think I was not quite sure how to put that into the actual like near core, or what to send and how to, package the bytes. So that nothing has really changed along that. And it seems like just the EIP 712 kind of logic, which is essentially just importing some libraries, is all that we would really need to add to the RPC proxy. That was really the only offering that the RPC proxy doesn't have that the old relayer does, I believe.
Okay. Well, I was also getting set up with the full flow for the meta transactions a few weeks back, but I ran into some trouble. I didn't have a chance to redo the flow, Ilya, yet, so I don't remember what the problem was. I will try to do that soonest. Is there anything else that you would want to ask on that front from Mike while we have him on the call?
Well, I think that one side was if you thought through the flow on how like front end would be pulling for the how front end would be checking with the relayer, like what price would relayer pretty much be okay with, because I think like when for this like raw calls, it also needs that, because like pretty much the raw call, it has a gas price and gas amount, but this is really like, it's not near as gas price, at least right now. So we're going to be, but like the plan is to deduct that from this user's balance and put it to Relayer's balance. So Relayer needs to approve that it's okay with with being paid this much.
Now, on that front, there's something interesting that Alex proposed. Now, this assumes that let's say we were actually going to use a base token, native token of ETH. But suppose we did that, then in that case, it would be a straightforward extension of your current work with the raw transactions. That we would add one more field to the transaction that is relayed, and that would be the EVM address, as in the public key that should receive a payment in ETH for relaying the transaction to the network. So it could be handled like that.
Yeah, so we don't need that, because the who's paid is the person who sent the transaction in the first place. So we already have the Relayer's ID, so we don't need to extend it. For raw transaction, it even presumably works if there's the RPC point, which is gas price. So you can just you ask this proxy Relayer for the gas price, and it should just give you the price that it's okay with kind of paying. But it's still the like the amount. But for meta calls, right, we need this flow as well, because I don't like meta calls don't have this flow naturally.
Right.
So I guess maybe my question for me is like, how like MVP are we going now? Because when you say like you're asking the proxy RPC to say, hey, it's only worth my time if you pay me this much. That sounds like we're kind of like having an MVP version where it's like one relayer basically. Is that how we're kind of focusing on now, before sort of saying, hey, to the community of relayers, I am willing to pay this. That was kind of what I was imagining to be like the ultimate goal. Am I tracking this correctly or no?
Well, let's go back to the box diagram that Alex drew us the previous time. I think that helps to discuss the topic. So this is in the previous call from 3 weeks ago. So Alex's notion was that we would have a ecosystem of relayers who could offer something like a market price for gas, as in they can set the gas limits. We are not going to be interested to relay transactions unless you meet this criteria, and from that would emerge some kind of a market rate. And on the client side, when you relay transactions through whatever library, you could do the same as gas station network clients do, which is that if a relayer rejects your transaction for any reason, you can retry the next one, and there can be some sort of prioritization based on arbitrary criteria, including quality of service and cost, ultimately for selecting which ones to contact first. Ilya, does that make sense to you?
But I think that the core point, even if you have a lot of layers, right, you still want to fetch, like you still want to ask a layer for what's a kind of price tag is, right? Because that's what gas station is. Gas station gives you a price tag.
Yeah, so, but importantly, you don't ask each gas station. So there is kind of a need for some kind of directory.
No, on gas station, not gas station network. The gas station dot whatever IO. You ask gas station, it tells you what's the current market price. So you need that piece somewhere, and like if nothing else, like relayers should expose it so you can actually ask them like what's their price.
Yeah.
Because like gas station gives you the network price, which we also have, right? And so one option is just like you literally ask what's the current near gas price, and you submit with that, and then you retry with like a little bit paying a little bit higher and stuff like this. But but like because you're asking anyway as a relayer, right? It can tell you, like the problem here is like the relayer can tell you whatever they want, right? It's also that's why you need a lot of them. You kind of want your choice to find the best one and have competing dynamics.
Yeah, and of course we have questions on that. That let's say that the relayer accepts the transaction, but then it actually never submits it to the network. It drops it on the floor. We have some questions around that. I mean, we have some prior example how those are solved on the gas station network, but they are not necessarily comprehensively solved or even credibly. So we have some thinking to do on that. But in any case, are we aligned that it's we would like to see something like an ecosystem of relayers who would, in some sense, compete with each other to relay transactions?
So I mean, in general, yes, but I also like for definitely for MVP, I would target similar approach to what we have right now with RPCs. It's like we want a lot of RPC providers, but like there should be also one that kind of semi reasonable that people just apply and use and like it's the same as in Fuhrer, right? You just yes, there is other options. You can also run your own. You can
exactly
run stuff. There can be alchemy, but like in Fuhrer kind of works. And I feel like
well right now concretely the first RPC proxy endpoint is running on my VPS in Amsterdam. So that's a good start. I'll upgrade it to the latest code soon, your code, and maybe we can think of making something like that public or semi-public. Might have to upgrade my VPS eventually. Good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, we can. I mean, I think it can be part of Neurink's service.
Sure. So. Yeah, sure. Just bootstrapping it for a moment. Okay, so we have some more work to do on the conceptual model there, but maybe we know the direction we're going in. As in, indeed, there would be some set of relayers. The end developer or the library rather would include some logic for selecting the relayer they would want to talk to, unless it's manually configured, and maybe having some sort of retry logic ultimately, and then the process is that it's one way or another. It's indeed wrapped into a NIR transaction, and we will handle it. We will handle even the raw transactions, given the support you've added in the last weeks. So that's a pretty good step forward. It means that we are not far off from being able to test with arbitrary Ethereum apps and dApps and clients and whatever.
And I also tried with like you can actually add that RPC into MetaMask and get something going as well.
Did that work out okay? As in, is MetaMask giving you any errors?
I mean, I think I handled some, but I need to double check. I'll update on that.
Okay. Real quick too, I posted in Discord like something that I saw when trying to fiddle with the pet shop and do that, and it seemed to be like some gas stuff. It couldn't determine the balance and.
Yeah, exactly. There's like few endpoints I think still missing for sure.
Okay, but yeah, pretty promising, and I'm also looking to get set up with that probably Monday latest. Okay, so that's very nice progress moving forward. Then we have let's deal with the blog post question. So Mike, let's see if I don't have the link here on my demo account. Where can I find it? It's NIR/docs, right? That's where the PR is. Okay. Yeah, EVM content. Okay. 568. And you have a whole bunch of new tutorials here. Or I guess it's a kind of mixed tutorial and reference docs. You said that the one that you developed the least so far is the RPC server. That can use some more input perhaps. But were you otherwise now happy with this PR and I could review and merge?
Yes.
Okay, good. and let's see where we can. The render link is fixed as well, I believe.
Yes.
Right. So we are, where are we? It's under development. There. So we have a whole bunch of new pages there. That will be helpful to people. And given that the blog post itself is, I guess, cut down to size quite a lot.
Yep. There's a lot of links giving a basic description and in the blog post that links to these.
Okay. And is your plan still to publish it today?
I would like to do that. I think that we can do a final pass. I've started it so much that I probably need a final, review. But that'd be great to let our, and I'm excited to invite our community in. So I'd love to publish that.
Okay. Any objections from Ilya? You reviewed it as well?
I haven't reviewed the latest version. I will take a look after this meeting.
Okay. Likewise for me.
But overall, sounds good.
All right. Yeah, let's get that out, and hopefully we actually get some people bidding on BetaNet. Would be nice. Okay, and then we have the contentious topic, potentially contentious topic, the native EVM token, and on that we already have a long discussion going here on the forum with many viewpoints. Does everybody know what this is, or should we introduce the subject a little bit? I guess everybody knows. Okay, so yeah, right now we're using Mir exclusively for paying, well, in the form of account balances on the EVM. That's what it comes down to, right? And there is a proposal that perhaps it will make sense from a business perspective, from an end user perspective, that it would be F, and that is technically complex compared to Near, but it would have some benefits to it. And Alex has tried to summarize here. Some of them I need to weigh in here as well. Does anybody have anything new to add on this? New thoughts? How shall we deal with this topic? Ilya, I understand that you had come closer to the sort of the middle of the fence on this, as in you can see both sides.
Yeah.
You can see some trade-offs on each side of the fence.
Yeah, just to clarify, the complexity of the implementation is actually not that big. The only difference is that instead of, so right now when we have deposit and withdraw, we are making a promise call with a transfer action, and actually instead we'll need to have a per EVM parameter which says which token we want to use, and then the promises will be the calling transfer or transfer from for that token. So it's pretty much transitioning from using like the base token of like our kind of base runtime to using any token, and then any like token standard pretty much. And then so what like the kind of the main issues here is mostly just our dependency on the token standard on the protocol level.
Yeah. Yeah, which is certainly a concern. Well, this is probably one of those cases where we would really benefit if we had, let's say, somebody outside of the core team also. So far, we don't seem to have anybody from the community.
Yeah, I would source some opinions from people. So I mean, Igor from ZeroPool mentioned that like everybody else is using their own token, but I would actually like it's worth going out, and sourcing some folks who are like Ethereum kind of builders currently, and seeing what are their kind of thoughts on this.
Yeah, because I would also not begin from the point of view of what everybody else is doing, as in Sure,
Yeah.
there's a lot of EVM compatible chains, but none of them
I use.
Yeah, none of them are particularly credible. So what would set us apart? Maybe something like this. And
So what's the like big benefit of having it natively on a protocol versus as part of the contract on the EVM side? So like if we say a meta call can charge any balance.
Yeah, so Metacall can already charge any token. So the difference mostly is twofold. One is what's a raw transaction calls will be charging, because they're charging the base token. And the second one is what is actually that base token that is inside the contracts that's used, right? So like if you launch a Uniswap, right, on inside EVM, right, the base token is what they use in the middle, and so that will define like which pairs it will be. I think right now, like I did some experiments with like Matic, for example, and even though you can enter the token handle like Matic token, but the MetaMask, for example, still shows you the Ethereum logo for the Matic token. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like in general, support is not like super robust.
Right.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. No, and then like in general, right, this kind of like transaction fee, like showing transaction fees and pulling the prices for the tokens and stuff like this is not very well done. Kind of in like not very customized. From what
this is one of the big concerns in terms of the developer experience, that most dApps, even if they have localization, for example, say that they are available in 20 languages, well, in any case, they're going to hard code the assumption, perhaps reasonably, that they're dealing with ETH, as in the native balance is ETH. They're going to be pulling the ETH price from some oracle, and all the conversions are assuming that it's ETH. So it's not a trivial thing for somebody to change an application that has such a hard-coded assumption. If you just pull the rug under them and swap that to something else, then they're going to have to rework large parts of the application, which is not a great developer experience. So that's one of the motivating concerns here.
It means we can only target Ethereum developers for developing for EVM, because let's say I like EVM, but I also like Near Wallet. I want to build an application that is not using MetaMask. So the challenge they're going to be, I need to think how to get wrapped ETH token first on Near side to deal with, like, let's say Uniswap on EVM side. Because if I don't have native, or like I don't have wrapped ETH, then in order for me to start using Uniswap on EVM, I need to first acquire wrapped ETH somewhere. So it also makes it complicated.
Wait. That's not particularly true. So if you're let's be specific. You're saying you're an application in a base runtime, or you're just a developer who wants to use EVM.
No, you're building a new application and integrating with like native,
yeah. So
native runtime and like
so you want to use a Uniswap inside EVM, right? So I mean, like there's no real difference, right? I mean, like you either way let's say you want to exchange Near for DAI, right? And you want to use Uniswap. So I mean, there's difference definitely that Uniswap has like Near DAI pair or not, but there's no difference between saying I want to exchange one token to another. Like Balancer, for example, will just do it for you. Like it will just find the pools that will exchange these two tokens. It doesn't matter what's like base token, and you're still paying fees in Near. Like the Near wallet still works.
No, I understand. I mean, I don't understand how non-Ethereum users can use EVM. Like if I don't have Ethereum and I have only Near,
You just
how
call
can I
transactions.
use EVM?
Well,
But
the
like
first
the
question I would
Ethereum
ask,
is not-
deposit the balance.
Of what? Like it's any other token. Like
Like-
you'll need to deposit. Like if you have DAI outside of EVM and you need to deposit it.
No, let's say
inside EVM.
I want to buy some Ethereum token or like some token on EVM side. If all contracts are using wrapped ETH and I don't have it, where do I supposed to get it?
through the bridge.
First place.
No. I mean, you have Near, right? You just buy
Right.
the
Yes.
token you want to buy for Near. Like there'll be pairs inside EVM in Uniswap and in Balancer, which are Near to ETH to DAI. So if you want to buy, if you have Near and you want to buy DAI, you go there and you ask, I want to buy DAI for Near, and it gives you, like, you know,
But I cannot
1 inch, find the best things.
Cannot deposit it, right?
Why? It's a token. It's the same as
So
any
I
other
need,
token.
I need to wrap Near to transfer to EVM somehow first.
Yeah.
Right, that's
But
I
it's
think where the bridge would come in. But the first question I would ask you, Chen, is that, and this is important for our user stories, which users did you have in mind who would want to use the EVM but are not F1 users? Because we are not taking into account anybody like that in our user stories right now. And if there is somebody,
Yeah,
then
it looks like we're building EV, like just another Ethereum chain that is not integrated with native Near applications. But
Wait,
I always
so
thought the goal was to benefit.
I don't agree with that. Like, so again, I actually, like, let's go back to what Eugene was saying. Like, you do not need a bridge. You do not need to have the token balance, the base token balance inside EVM to use EVM. Like, it's
Right.
the same thing as actually, you don't need to have ETH to use Ethereum if all the things had meta calls working, right?
Right.
And so from perspective of EVM, you having Near wallet is meta calls. You're paying transaction fees in Near, and you can do whatever you want inside EVM. Like complete freedom.
Well, it's
right?
not meta call, it's native calls.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
they call
I
it
know.
the
But like
functions,
from perspective of EVM, right? The base token is
So,
like your base,
so
base
when you
token
think
amount.
about integration of like native contracts with EVM,
Yes.
they will need to operate on either wrapped ETH on Near side or
No.
wrapped Near, which makes it all calls that go to EVM, if they don't have a native balance within EVM, which is probably weird, but we'll have to go through the token standard first, or like token contract on native side that will call EVM for conversion and later executing. Versus if you have attached balance in native Near, then they can natively call EVM and start interacting with Uniswap potentially. So like it removes one extra step. I don't know if it's will be a pain point down the line.
So this part was specifically Uniswap. I agree. Yeah. So Uniswap is where if you want to exchange Near for something and you want to use it, it is easier if Near is base token. Every single other app, which are like Balancer, lending apps, etc., none of them actually using message value for acceptance. So you will need to wrap your stuff first anyway, right? Like Balancer, you know, uses wrapped ETH, and like DYDX using wrapped ETH. You know, all of the people using wrapped ETH because they don't want to write, you know, custom code. Like they want to use one standard for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually we might perhaps just state that wrapped ETH is more important for DeFi than ETH itself.
Yeah, I mean, my point is like that if you have Near, like if you have an application in base runtime that's calling application inside EVM, for the most part, you will need to wrap your Near into a ERC20 on inside EVM to be actually to use it anyway. So I think like making that like a standard thing is actually probably, you know,
makes sense.
Well, and also from the point of view of what we would want, just if you take a step back from the details and think about somebody who's as developer, as user, we would want, I think, that they could bridge their in particular ETH, but of course other tokens too. They could bridge them easily across ETH1, our EVM, and our base runtime. As in, maybe we are calling it NETH on the base runtime, ETH on the EVM, and then you have ETH and wrapped ETH on ETH1. But in any case, we would want, right, that when people have one ETH in one of these realms, they would feel confident that they have one ETH and that they can bridge it to, for example, back to ETH1 at any time. And right. So that's kind of the starting point.
It doesn't guarantee that the native token should be still wrapped ETH.
No. This is a separate question.
You need to have a wrapped ETH.
Yeah, it's a separate question, but in any case, I think that's a starting point for how a user would hope that all of this would work. And then once you have the ability to bridge, especially ETH, very easily, move it around in this way. Of course, I know right now we have delays in the bridging in some directions, but assuming those can be solved, then from the user's perspective, it might make sense that, for example, let's say in MetaMask, I go to the bridge on ETH1. I have my MetaMask connected. I get an address to send to, which is going to magically credit the same amount of ETH I sent to the same address on the EVM side, and that all happens pretty quick. Then that's a pretty nice user experience. That even if somebody was changing, in MetaMask the network the same way as we change between testnet and mainnet, you could just see that ultimately what it comes down to is that one ETH disappeared from this balance here. I changed to that network. Whoa, I got one ETH there. That would be great, right? I mean, that's what I would expect as a user.
Yeah, my main argument is going to be that embedding something on a contract and with the protocol will make it very complicated. So make it a native token on EVM and connecting it to some standard.
I fully agree that
on a contract level, we'll first lock all the contract side APIs, such as like a JSON, host methods, and stuff like this. Even so we can upgrade it, we cannot stop supporting old versions ever because there's going to be application built on top of them. So,
but it's true about any standard.
Yeah, that's why we don't link them right now at all to native implementation. So only one way. So contracts are depending on protocol, not other way.
Yeah, no, Eugene, I think I'm perfectly with you on how technically burdensome and complex and perhaps risky in some regard all of this is. I'm just starting from the user's point of view that this is what one would like to see. Maybe there are constraints like this that prevent us from building it, but at least it's a good idea to try to start what we would like to see, and then if we can't do it, we can't do it, or if we shouldn't do it, we shouldn't do it.
Well, but it seems I still don't have full benefits. I understand the Uniswap use case that it will display it correctly without changes. At the same time, working with tools is probably reasonable, and it will benefit from like all other chains to properly display their native tokens instead of like saying we should change the token.
Well, that's true, but that's then a pretty large problem, as in there's n apps out there that need to be changed. It would be good if they were changed, no question. But are we going for pushing them to change it, or are we just making it possible for them to work without that kind of changes?
So Eugene, I guess one question that I have, which is, so right now EVM is done as like a full kind of EVM contract is precompiled, and so one option was actually leave as a precompile only the bytecode execution side, and leave also like glue code that we have still on the contract side. So kind of like pretty much expose just like, exact EVM bytecode kind of function inside Wasm runtime, and then so have a WebAssembly contract which all the glue code that calls this function.
That's pretty much the box model we're looking at, right? As in, yeah.
I think I would prefer the way it's done right now, where everything is native. Part of this is a contract, part of this is non-contract. The reason for this is if in the future we want to enable native transactions on EVM side where the transaction doesn't go through signed near transaction, but just can land straight to EVM, we can do this without this native, or without having this contract kind of wrapper, because we will be able to verify a certain transaction, similar how we verify native transactions. And hey, this Ethereum address has enough tokens to cover the gas cost. Let's just go and execute this transaction. So it will be able to like avoid wrapped it into near transaction in case you want to do this. This will probably save round trip that receipt needs to fly to EVM and just go straight to EVM shard, which will make it like less abusable.
And well, these questions also tied into Ilya, what we were discussing the last weeks about upgradability, right? As in what really should be in the protocol and what should be in the contracts.
Yeah.
And I think you changed your view on that a little bit. You started out from it would be a good idea to separate bytecode execution and have some sort of a contract interface in front of it. But I wasn't in on the last meeting with you and Alex on this, but I understood you changed your view on that.
Well, it's mostly that currently on our in base runtime we have problems with like easily upgrading contracts like in a permissionless way.
Right.
So like having re-upload a new contract is like not really possible yet. And so
it's mostly an incidental limitation then.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like in the short term, it is a limitation that would like stop us from launching. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, right now, upgrading our like protocol is actually potentially easier than upgrading like important smart contracts. That's kind of the current state.
All right. Okay, well, I think we are out of time for today. So this discussion will need to continue offline. Does anybody have anything else to add before we wrap up?
I mean, if I have 1 minute, actually, I'm curious, Eugene, on what's the current state on the token standard, actually, as in like, because the reality is as soon as we kind of approve it, right, we will need to support it going forward because the bridge will rely on it. So EVM will rely on it through the bridge anyway. And so like from my perspective, like, even though, yes, we're hard coding it on protocol, which I totally agree is kind of leaking abstraction, but the kind of the support we need to provide to token standard will be kind of on that level anyway.
We're currently finalizing it. Like there is a standard that slightly upgrading what Robert Zaremba proposed.
Mm-hmm.
I do not agree that we need to always support it because there's always possibility of building a wrapper for the new standard on the top of old standard if it's ever arrives. That's why. So like even if we launch a bridge with NEP21 for some reason, we can have a mint burn pattern or which wraps old NEP. and deploys a new one. So basically, it will be a new standard that can consume NEP21 and Mint. And then when you want to transfer it back to NEP21, you can do this. So this kind of upgrade is how probably like DAI was upgraded from Psi. So similar pattern can be used to upgrade token standards in the future. But yeah, we're trying to finalize it as soon as possible. So I think everyone who was interested in token standard is now on agreement on the latest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you moved that to Discord, right? That discussion. What's the channel there?
Yeah, there is a standards channel on Discord, and also there is a new NEP that we split in NEP into 3 standards. One is like core API, second is metadata, token metadata, and third is like account registration for storage related stuff.
Right. Okay. I'll put in the links in the meeting notes as well. Okay. Anything else? So shall we wrap up exactly on time? I take that as it's enough for today. Good. Then thanks everyone, and thanks for the people watching, for tuning in, and let's continue next week.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.